My name's Mike Beard. I promise I am not as boring as I look. I've even inspired Chris Helfrich and Abraham Lincoln to grow a beard. So, I hope to be able to inspire you to become advocates and be here and be advocates for nothing but nets for quite a while. And not just tomorrow. I love advocating for nothing but nets. I have a secret to tell you. I'm a lobbyist. So when you go back home, you can say you've seen one in the flesh. I'm not evil.
You pitch them.
Yeah.
They have real feelings.
I bleed. But I'm actually very lucky. I get to advocate for something that I completely believe in and something that helps change and save lives around the world. And what's the most amazing thing about Nothing But Nets is this. It's the world's worst wallet. It's a binder clip. But this will save a life, right? $10. I think I have worth two nets in here. This can save a life, but you know what else can? Our hearts and our voices. And that's what we're talking about today. And I went the wrong way. Oh, that way. This is why our voices and our hearts can save a life. I'm not going to go through the whole schoolhouse rock of how a bill up on Capitol Hill becomes a law or whatever like that. I'll go a little bit about how your tax dollars, what the government does, actually gets to become a net on the ground and actually cover some people. So House of Representatives, Congress, they vote right here. They fund these programs, the President's Malaria Initiative, the alphabet soup of UN agencies, the Global Fund for AIDS, TB, and malaria. Our tax dollars fund this. And then in turn, it goes on to research and development, actual nets, and other diagnostic and other programming, which then saves lives, right? It's that easy. So from these people's votes, and in the House they have a voting card that they'll go in and push down. In the Senate they just say aye or nay. But those voices actually turn into nets. But why do they actually do these sorts of things? Like Bernard said earlier today, they do it because of people like yourselves. Because we give voice to a feeling of wanting to help people and end deaths from malaria. And that's why we are here. So, promise not to read. I hate slides. I'm really bad at giving the sliding presentations. So, we are here to teach you guys how to advocate, to teach you guys how to take your voices, your passion about these issues, and then turn them into votes, give members of Congress the access or inspire them to want to be champions for malaria. Educating your members about just the activities. It doesn't even have to be advocacy activities, just the activities of what the JCs are doing in their district, or inviting them to come and speak at your district where you're raising money, like the Kamalis do in Pennsylvania, or go in there and try to schedule a meeting. You can do all of these things. There's a couple of things, and all of this is on the flash drive, and you guys will have all of this information, so I won't walk you through it. But a couple of things that you can also do that isn't on here. One, there are the United Nations Association, one of our partner organizations at the United Nations Foundation, will be holding 33 city consultation on what we believe the development goals for the world should be next in 2015 to 2030. It's a really amazing way to connect people like yourselves with the discussions that are going on in New York. Email Margaret, Chris, everybody, and we will get you information about how you can attend and be a part of these discussions so that you can raise global health, so you can raise the fight against malaria as one of the cornerstones of what the development policy should be going forward. And then another way, city governments like to get involved in some of these issues as well. talk to your local city council member, because like Margaret said, this is an amazing country where we get to petition our government. I worked for the House of Representatives. I worked on the Foreign Affairs Committee for 4 years, and got to meet with members of my boss's district all the time, and it was just an amazing place to be, and to hear from people like yourselves. But then what we do is we also hear from our local governments, our city councils, the state legislatures, about why we should be involved. Get them involved too. Get them engaged, because while most of the money does come straight from the House of Representatives and the Senate and signed by the President, the state governments and your city council members will have a say too, and can become champions just like yourselves. So you'll hear from me a lot over the next hour or so. So I'll just kind of leave it at that and pass it over to Margaret. I'm gonna take my wallet back.
Okay. You know me well. So essentially the message is, you all have your stories, you've worked on them, you know how you can utilize them for fundraising, for reaching out to the media, and this is, again, how you can utilize that time to meet with your elected officials, tell them why you're passionate about this issue, why it's important that they get involved and also be champions. So these are just some of the examples of things that you can do. So inviting a member to an event that you're having in district, inviting them to speak is a great way of getting them insight into what the incredible things that you all are doing in communities around the United States. Inviting media is also a way, because members of Congress and their staff read the local newspapers from their state and their district. They're paying attention. So if they see a story about an incredible thing that you're doing at your school or your congregation, they may even reach out and engage you that way. So getting active on social media, again, members of Congress and their staff are constantly monitoring the news feed, so you should make sure that you even if you don't like them, you can still follow your member of Congress, on Twitter or Facebook. You could post a message or something that you learned from today on their feed, get their attention. So we wanted to give, I'm not sure how to use, oh, there we go, okay. So these are just some specific examples of champions that have already done really creative, fun, interesting things in order to engage their members of Congress. So the letter on the left is from champion Tashawn Aurora from Austin, Texas, who actually came up with this really creative interpretive dance about the joy of a child receiving a bed net. And he actually, through that inspiration got him to start going on UT Austin's campus, educating people about the issue. He ended up scheduling a meeting with his member of Congress in Austin, who was really taken by the passion of this young kid. And so he actually did a follow-up letter to reach out to him again about opportunities to engage. The picture in the middle and the top is from one of our fellows. So the Nothing But Nets has a partnership with the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism. We have a couple of representatives here. Raise your hand, Isaac. And we actually have a few fellows here. So Bella Merritt from Seattle, Rachel, is Rachel here? There you are, Rachel, excellent, and Jason Flatt. So we have a few fellows here. And so this picture is actually of Emily Rothstein, another fellow who was doing a lot of work on her campus to engage students, to get them educated about the issue. And then she went on to reach out to some classmates, and they had a meeting with their member of Congress, Congressman Mark Pecan in Wisconsin. And that was a really empowering experience. On the bottom right, you have Cooper Smith, who people have mentioned before, but I think he just turned 11 or 12, another incredible in the San Francisco area who donated his birthday. He also hosted a trick shot basketball competition. And then we went on to honor him. He actually got to be recognized on court at halftime for a Nothing But Nets night with the Golden State Warriors. And along with his representative Barbara Lee, who's on court with them. So again, that's kind of a fun in-district way of engaging. I wanted to go ahead and introduce or bring onto stage quickly two of our most committed champions, Crystal Ramsey Dice, who, come on up, Crystal. And Ruth Riley, if you could join us. So Crystal, as many of you If you all want to, yeah. There you go. Who needs stairs? Yeah. So Crystal, who many of you know, is JCI USA's immediate past president, who's led the Buzz Tour the last 2 summers and has done incredible work. Ruth Riley was engaged with the campaign before it even had an official name, I think. So one of our longest standing champions. You may be able to guess what sport she played. It's not ice hockey, but she was a former WNBA player, an Olympian, and again has just done incredible things for the campaign. So I really wanted to bring them up to share how because I think for many people, advocacy can seem intimidating, but I think hopefully they can provide some insights and perhaps some hints and tips about how advocacy is fun, easy, inspiring, and impactful. So just a couple of minutes from each of you would be fantastic. Thanks.
So I have to share my story of my first in Congress meeting was with Ruth Riley and Miss Miami. So they both introduced themselves, and I'm like, yeah, I'm Crystal from Florida, from JCI USA. I'm with the WNBA star and Miss Miami, but I am cool because I'm hanging out with them. But it did make the meetings less intimidating, of course. Our story with the Buzz Tour and with the advocacy piece of it is we like to share that we were at World Congress in Taipei, and we met in a dark, dingy hallway because we had no room to meet in. So we met with Chris and my Secretary General, Executive Director Joel Harper, sat down and had some conversations about what we could do as the USJCs and how we could get involved, because the fundraising piece is great, but we have the ability to get in front of our Congress people and have some conversations that other countries don't have the ability to do. So we came up with this crazy lunatic idea of jumping in a van and driving to 18 states our first summer and hosting 60 in district meetings because, well, we said 50, but we ended up doing like 63 or 68, something like that, and getting our members active and involved and getting them in front of their government officials. And it was a little scary and a little intimidating, but you have fantastic people from Nothing But Nuts, and we always have to give a shout out to Anuki, because I want to be her when I grow up, and Brandon, who helped us along the way. And because it was such an awesome experience for our members, because they got the ability to share their voice in something they were passionate about, we decided to do it a second summer. So this past summer, we actually visited 102 in district meetings and sat down with our congressmen and our senators and had conversations about why Nothing But Nuts is important to us. And I promise you, it may be a little bit scary, but when you sit down and start talking to them, they're people just like you, and they want to hear from you, and they want to know what you're passionate about, and they want to be passionate about it too. And you can be passionate about a lot of things, but nobody will ever tell you when they sit down in a meeting that they don't want to fight malaria. So that's something that you can definitely get some nods and some support for. So please, if you have an opportunity, and I know a lot of us will tomorrow, take advantage of that and take it back home with you and take advantage of it, because you have people who want to hear what you're passionate about, and this is definitely something that we can be passionate about here in the U.S., and we can talk to our folks and we can make a difference. So thank you.
Well, it is an honor to be here. I'm so inspired when I get to come to this meeting and meet with all these champions. I mean, so many people doing amazing work. It's humbling, honestly, to be in a room with you guys. And I've had the opportunity to be engaged with this campaign since it started in 2006. It's changed my life tremendously, and it honestly introduced me to the work of advocacy. I didn't know really what that was until they asked me to come on board and make a couple visits. And it was really empowering. I was a spokesperson at the time, but to understand that I had that platform to talk to our government officials and policy leaders and tell them to be a voice and to tell them my opinion. Personally, I found that as a spokesperson, I was really good at telling the story of Nothing But Nuts, really good at sharing my experiences of what I've saw, but I oftentimes took myself out of that equation, out of that conversation, because I was so passionate about the cause and the overall. And I think what advocacy is, it's your story ingrained with the campaign. And so when they talk over and over about your story, that's really what they want to hear. And it's just this really unique platform where we're able to share our personal stories, and that's where we connect first. And because of that connection, we're able to tell them what we're passionate about. And I've just been really fortunate to be involved. I think the great thing about this campaign is that it's so creative, and there's so many ways where we can not only raise money, but there's so many ways that we can creatively involve our congressmen and women. And so whether it's here on their turf or at home in our local communities, like you said earlier, I did a fundraiser just at my local spin class of Flywheel, and something I love to do, and I knew that Debbie Wasserman Schultz was an active woman, a sporty woman, and so, obviously I invited her to come. And so I think that it's also, when you're doing local events, think of them. Think of your local leaders and invite them to come and be a part of it. If not, at least you're just creating touch points. I'm just an athlete that's gonna keep asking until you say yes. So if they say no at first, or their schedules are busy, don't be deterred by that. Just keep asking until they eventually come. And I think that there's just a lot of unique ways that you can do that. Also, I knew that Debbie was coming to speak at an event in Miami on global health, and so it was open to the public. I decided to come, and it was just an opportunity for me to talk to her after the event. So I got to understand a little bit more of her perspective on global health, and then it was a touch point for me as well. And so I just want to encourage you guys, just really enjoy this. I think that for me, advocacy is just a celebration of your stories and what you guys are able to bring to the campaign. And I hope that you understand that it's so woven into the totality of what our campaign does. And I hope that you guys understand that you're truly valuable to what we do, and your stories are very important, and we appreciate it.